So now in this unit we will discuss the most simple type of derivative instruments which are called your forward and futures. So it's a forward, like I already said, it is a relatively simple derivative. So we will begin with this so that you can easily understand derivative products. It is an agreement to buy or sell an asset at a certain future time for a certain price. So any derivative instrument, it will either be related to buying or it will be related to selling an asset. So this there has to be an underlying variable. For example, you might agree to buy stock at a certain future time. So you might decide that I will purchase the stock after 3 months for a certain price for 100 rupees. So the price will already be set. Now the original price can be anything at that time. It can be 90, it can be 80, it can be 120. This is none of your concern. You have said that you will purchase it for 100. The time period is called the maturity. The certain price is called a forward price. When we are saying buy, we mean long position, and when we are saying sell, we mean short position. So these are some terminologies that we will be using later on. If investor assumes a long position in the forward contract, he agrees to buy the underlying asset on a certain specified future date for a certain specified price. So the time, the maturity, and the forward price will be decided. If investor assumes a short position in the forward contract, he agrees to sell the underlying asset. Now, this was a forward. Basically, when forwards are dealt on the exchange, they are called future. Basically, the forward dealings are between two parties who arrange transactions between themselves. So it's an over-the-counter market. However, if you bring into the picture middlemen, or you would say exchanges, then trading in futures is established. So the difference between forwards and future is that forward is not traded on exchanges. Forwards is dealt directly with the other party. So one party directly dealing with the other party, they are going to go into a forward contract. It will be in the OTC, in the over-the-counter market. So it can be it can be negotiated. The terms can be negotiated according to both parties. Whereas if you're talking about futures, futures are traded on exchanges. So they are standardized. The Chicago Board of Trade was an early marketplace for this dealing, and futures dealers helped make a market in futures contracts. Thus, farmers could sell futures on the exchange and millers could buy them there. So, the buying and selling of the contract is taking place on the exchange, then that is a futures market. So, like a forward contract, a futures contract is an agreement between two parties to buy or sell an asset at a certain time in the future for a certain price. So, you can see that the contract is quite similar. It is agreement between two parties to buy or sell. There is a certain time and there is a certain price. But the difference is that future contracts are traded on the exchange, and like forward contracts that are um, exchanged in the OTC market, which means that two parties are directly negotiating over here. So to make trading possible, the exchange specifies certain standardized features of the contract. Now, if something is, you can purchase it on the exchange, then the quantity, the price, and everything is fixed. You cannot go and say that, no, I do not want the forward at this price, I want it at that price. Because the features have been standardized. Similarly, the quantity has been standardized. So whatever is available on the exchange, you will have to purchase that only if you're purchasing a futures contract. However, a forward contract is a different story. In a forward contract, the other party will be sitting in front of you and you can negotiate with them. No, I want this much quantity at this price. As the two parties to the contract do not necessarily know each other, the exchange also provides a mechanism that gives the two parties a guarantee that the contract will be honored. So, because futures are traded on exchange, then the exchange has a mechanism which we call mark to market. Basically, you have to keep a security deposit, and each day the profit or loss on your futures transaction is calculated, and based on that, your security deposit, there are adjustments made to your security deposit. So, because of that, you can say that the exchange deals with counterparty risk to some extent, that the other party is not going to default and they will make due of their contract. Now let's do a comparison between them. So forward is traded over the counter, whereas futures are traded on exchange. In forward, you have not standardized contracts, whereas in futures, you have standardized contracts. Forward, you will have one specific delivery date, you have range of delivery dates for futures, and you can choose from them. Forward is settled at the contract's end because there is no mark to market over here, there is no mechanism to take care of it. So in the end, if the counterparty makes due of their contract, then it's fine, or else you will have to bear the loss. Whereas futures are settled daily, so each day, whatever is the profit or loss on your futures contract, it is settled every day. So there are less chances of counterparty risk over here. Delivery or final cash settlement usually occurs, whereas contract usually close out prior to maturity. Now, because futures are traded on the exchange, you will have a lot of arbitrageurs in the market, you will have a lot of speculators in the market who are not actually in the market because they want to actually purchase oil in the end, or they want to purchase wheat in the end. They are in the market just so that they can profit from the derivative financial instrument. Because of that, a lot of the contracts will close out prior to maturity in the futures market, whereas in the forward market, this is not likely going to happen because the both parties are said that they actually need the final product in the end. So I hope that the difference between forwards and futures is clear.